Now, more of Illinois Rising, presented by the Illinois Policy Institute, the only show directly addressing the problems and solutions for Illinois. Now, from AM 560, here's Dan Proft.
Dan Proft back with John Tillman, President and CEO of the Illinois Policy Institute. And John, pension reform, kind of a big issue in Illinois since we have the largest unfunded liability in the country and the worst credit rating as a state as a result. And it could be going down, according to a report by Cranes this week. So just when you think Illinois has reached bottom, we find a new bottom. But we're not the only state dealing
not alone
with big unfunded pension liabilities. Kentucky is as well, and the incoming governor, Matt Bevin, very conservative Kentucky Republican governor.
Who nobody thought would win.
That's right.
Too conservative.
Right, and he took on the Republican establishment to challenge McConnell.
Right.
Came back, ran for governor, won. What's going on in Kentucky? Are there lessons for Illinois to learn from Kentucky? We'll ask that question of Jim Waters, who's the president of the Bluegrass Institute for Public Policy Solutions. You can understand that being in Kentucky, Bluegrass Institute. And Jim joins us now. Thanks so much for joining us, Jim. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. That's a long name and amazing results there.
There you go.
And Jim, are you on a horse right now drinking bourbon?
No, I'm not. I'm probably getting ready to watch a UK basketball game this time.
No, certainly not getting ready to watch
bourbon, horse racing, and basketball. Yeah,
certainly not getting ready to watch a UK football game. That's for sure. So Jim, Matt Bevin inherits a $30 billion unfunded pension system, which is pretty substantial. It's kind of per capita, you're starting to approach Illinois levels. What is it that Kentucky has attempted to do with respect to public sector pensions, and what is it that Matt Bevin is going to have to do to address that unfunded liability?
Well, what Kentucky's attempted to do is kick the can down the road and
familiar with that.
Not confront the issues. The outgoing Beshear administration has had 8 years. The pension debt has worsened by 40% under his watch. And both parties are somewhat to blame here, but the Democrats have been in control of the House and the governor's mansion for many years. And, this can is if it keeps getting kicked down the road, it's gonna wind up at the feet of our kids and grandkids. And so Matt Bevin has made this an issue, but it's a tough issue, and I don't want anybody to be under the impression here that this is going to be an easy thing to do, because we're in a tough thing. They just upped the amount of the unfunded liability. Now is at $34.7 billion, and depending on the accounting tricks that are used, it could be up around $40 billion.
So Jim, it seems so obvious to people listening and to all of us that converting new employees who haven't yet worked for government to 401k style, which creates certainty in fiscal budgeting for the government and creates ownership and certainty for the employee, may not be quite as super fantastic as the exorbitant defined benefit plans that are bankrupting the states. This just seems so obvious. Why is this such a heavy lift?
Well, even if we did move, and as a couple of years ago, there was some tinkering around the edges with the reform Senate Bill 2 that did make some steps toward making new hires, putting them in a 401k style plan. But the issue here is that it's going to be 25 to 30 years before we realize any of the benefits of that as taxpayers and with the system. So what the problem is all of the attention has been focused on funding the system here. None has been focused on the expenditures, the spending of the system. For example, the benefits that are given out. There was nothing done to ensure that whatever reforms were made before, which were very minor, but still that the savings from those would actually be realized. Because if you keep spending, if as much keeps going out the back door as comes in the front door, then you don't make any progress.
Well, is there a middle step here to structural reform that just presents choice? Illinois Policy Institute has written extensively about this. It's kind of an underreported story in Illinois that back in the mid-'90s, the state began offering state university employees a choice between the defined benefit plan of the politicians and a self-managed plan. There's about 17,000 people that opted into the 401k style plan. So maybe choice is some kind of middle step to get to reform of the system structurally?
That's certainly true, but that's our situation here is dire in terms of needing to address this unfunded liability in a way where the pension checks can continue to be granted and where the state can continue to meet its obligations.
Jim, what would you, if you could wave your magic wand, what would the solution be then to solve this problem?
Well, one thing that Matt Bevin has talked about is we have a very secretive system here. We don't know, for example, how investment decisions are made regarding retirement funds and how those fees are determined. We have our KERS, which is the largest of our pension systems. It's the state employees' pension system. It was 113% funded in 2000. And in just 15 years, it is now 19% funded.
Wow,
that's amazing.
And so but here's the deal: is we've come through this recession, and even our other plans here, the Kentucky Teachers Retirement Plan, the State Police Plan, all the other plans have rebounded in terms of investment returns. But we just got word that the Kentucky Employee Retirement System only drew a 2% return, and they have some of the highest costs. So we don't know how those decisions are being made. So I think Bevin's call for transparency in the system, knowing what lawmakers are getting in pensions. We have part-time lawmakers here who earn $40,000 salaries as lawmakers, but they are reaping hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars in retirement benefits after they retire.
That's
because of the way our system's set up.
That is a familiar story. Jim Waters, president of the Bluegrass Institute for Public Policy Solutions. Jim, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Sure thing. Thanks.